I don't know. I feel like there's not much to read. We're going Judges 13, 14, and 15, and then we're going to Psalms 74. Can you believe we're already like day 74? Like tracking my days, I'm really starting to realize like, damn, a lot of days have passed, but it feels like I haven't had the time for these days, you know? Like the days have passed, but where did the time go? That's what we're gonna hop right in. No, nothing today. All right, no insight material to add. No devotionals. No nothing. What is this? Oh, I was pulling. I was pulling. Let me get fidgety with my hair, and then I'll like start pulling one strand, like one bunch, and then like the rest of the front. Look. It's like once you stretch your hair out, it doesn't know what to do with itself until it gets wet and shrinks back in. Okay, alright, that's not what this is about. So, let's hop into it. The birth of Samson. Again, the Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight. So the Lord handed them over to the Philistines, who oppressed them for 40 years. In those days, a man named Manoah, a name in those days, a man. Sorry, my tongue is doing one of those things where it like matches all the words together, and they all become one word. They all become like jumbled together. Okay. Okay. We'll pick it up from the top and pretend that didn't happen. Okay. The birth of Samson. Again, the Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight. So the Lord handed them over to the Philistines, who oppressed them for 40 years. In those days, a man named Manoah from the tribe of Dan lived in the town of Zorah. His wife was unable to become pregnant, and they had no children. The angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and said, "Even though you have been unable to have children, you will soon become pregnant and give birth to a son. So be careful. You must not drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, nor eat any forbidden food." What are the forbidden foods? Anything unclean. Okay. You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and his hair must never be cut, for he will be dedicated to God as a Nazarite from birth. He will begin to rescue Israel from the Philistines. The woman ran and told her husband, "A man of God appeared to me. He looked like one of God's angels, terrifying to see." It's interesting. See, okay? Like, let's remind ourselves that angels are terrifying to the sight. Not no pretty boys with blonde hair, blue eyes, and glistening wings on their back, okay? I didn't ask where he was from, and he didn't tell me his name, but he told me, "You will become pregnant and give birth to a son. You must not drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, nor eat any forbidden food. For your son is to be dedicated to God as a Nazarite from the moment he is born until the day of his death." Then Manoah prayed to the Lord, saying, "Lord, please let the man of God come back to us again and give us more instructions about this son who is to be born." God answered Manoah's prayer, and the angel of God appeared once again to his wife as she was sitting in the field, but her husband Manoah was not with her. So she quickly ran and told her husband, "The man who appeared to me the other day is here again." Manoah ran back with his wife and asked, "Are you the man who spoke to my wife the other day?" "Yes," he replied, "I am." So Manoah asked him, "When your words come true, what kind of rules should govern the boy's life and work?" The angel of the Lord replied, "Be sure your wife follows the instructions I gave her. She must not eat grapes or raisins, drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, or eat any forbidden food." Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "Please stay here until you can prepare a young goat for you, until we can prepare a young goat for you to eat." "I will stay," the angel of the Lord replied, "but I will not eat anything. However, you may prepare a burnt offering as a sacrifice to the Lord." Manoah didn't realize it was the angel of the Lord. I again want to know, and maybe some of y'all out there who have more understanding of this than I do can tell me, are the angel of the Lord and the Lord the same person? Like, is the angel of the Lord and Adonai the same? Adonai is the same person? Can someone clear up that confusion for me? Thank you. Then Manoah asked the angel of the Lord, "What is your name? For when all this comes true, we want to honor you." "Why do you ask my name?" the angel of the Lord replied. "It is too wonderful for you to understand." Then Manoah took a young goat and a grain offering and offered it on a rock as a sacrifice to the Lord. And as Manoah and his wife watched, the Lord did an amazing thing. As the flames from the altar shot up towards the sky, the angel of the Lord ascended in the fire. When Manoah and his wife saw this, they fell with their faces to the ground. The angel did not appear again to Manoah and his wife. Manoah finally realized it was the angel of the Lord. And he said to his wife, We will certainly die, for we have seen God." So it is the same person? The angel of the Lord and the Lord. Maybe I can just Google it. I know I just asked y'all to tell me, but I could probably just Google it, because Google sometimes answers my questions. Sometimes. Who's calling me? I'm sorry. Hey, hello? Hey, can I call you back? You good? Alright, cool. I'll call you back. Hey. I thought I had this on Do Not Disturb. Do Not Disturb. Thank you. Okay. The angel of the Lord is Jesus, is it? Consequently, the angel of the Lord is the image of the invisible God in the days before Jesus took flesh. The angel of the Lord speaks as God, identifies himself with God, and exercises the responsibilities of God. So he's God. Is he God? Refers to angels of the Lord, an angel of the Lord, the angel of the Lord. It seems when the definitive article uses the, it's used, when the is used, it is specifying a unique being separate from the other angels. The angel of the Lord speaks as God, identifies himself with God, and exercises the responsibilities of God. In several of these appearances, those who saw the angel of the Lord feared for their lives because they had seen the Lord. Therefore, it is clear that in at least some instances, the angel of the Lord is a theophany. I don't know what that word means. An appearance of God in physical form. So, the angel of the Lord and the Lord, what is theophany? Theophany. I was not saying that right. Theophany, a visible manifestation of to mankind of God or no, we're not gonna read that part. Of God. Okay. So then the angel of the Lord is the Lord. That's two. So then, are there other angels outside of the angel of the Lord? He's not just doing all of this, right? So an angel of the Lord and the angel of the Lord is separate people. Let's check. An angel of the Lord. No, see, now you're giving me the same person. I need an angel of the Lord. Oh, there's a Bible project on this. All right, I need more research for later. So look, I'm gonna go and say that this angel is a physical rep of God, and the angel of the Lord in the pillar cloud was God. But that not every time it says angel of the Lord, like an angel of the Lord or something like that, they're not all God. I'm gonna have to figure out when the difference occurs, so I'm not confused. Okay, so they hit the ground and they said, "We've seen God, and shall we surely die?" But his wife said, "If the Lord were going to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted our burnt offering and grain offering. He wouldn't have appeared to us and told us this wonderful thing and done these miracles." When her son was born, she named him Samson, and the Lord blessed him as he grew up, and the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him while he lived in Manhanaden, which is located between the towns of Zorah and Eshtaol. Okay. Samson's riddle. One day, when Samson was in Timnah, on one of the Philistine women caught his eye. When he returned home, he told his father and mother, "A young Philistine woman in Timnah caught my eye. I want to marry her. Get her for me." You know, someone grew up entitled. I just, get her for me. Okay. All right, Samson. So his father and mother objected. "Isn't there even one woman in our tribe or among all the Israelites you could marry?" they asked. "Why must you go to the pagan Philistines to find a wife?" But Samson told his father, "Get her for me. She looks good to me." And this is a forewarning because I feel like every time so far someone was like, "It looked good to me. It looked good to me." Something hits the fan. Shit hits the fan. Every time. "It looked good to me." That's what they said about the apple. That's what they said about that pile of treasure. That's what they said about those idols that one of the girls stole from her uncle. It looked good to me. Nah, that's a red flag. See, I watch a lot and I read a lot, and I know a red flag when I see one. And that one, it looks good to me. It's a red flag. I also feel like the "it looks good to me" being a red flag is like overall our biggest issue is that Eve was deceived, right? And in that deception, she ate of knowledge of good and evil. So the idea of the perception that we're able to understand what is good on our own terms is false. So usually when it says "it looked good to me," it leads into like that not being so good, you know. So like that's like, hey, it looks good to you, you think, but our perception of good and evil is lacking. You feel me? I feel it. I think it looked good to me. Yeah, no. So his father and mother didn't realize the Lord was at work in his creating an opportunity to work against the Philistines, who ruled over Israel at the time. As Samson and his parents were going down to Timnah, a young lion suddenly attacked Samson near the vineyards of Timnah. At the moment the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, and he ripped the lion's jaw apart with his bare hands. He did it as easily as if it were a young goat. Sorry, is ripping a young goat supposed to be easier than ripping a young lion? Okay, but he didn't tell his father or mother about it. Okay. Is that like that comparison? Is it just because the young goat was more timid than the young lion? Less teeth? Because I surely is not easier to rip it in half. Everybody, so he keeps that a secret, which is interesting. When Samson arrived in Timnah, he talked with the woman and was very pleased with her. Later, when he returned to Timnah for the wedding, he turned off the path to look at the carcass of the lion, and he found that a swarm of bees had made some honey in the carcass. He scooped some of the honey into his hands and ate it along the way. Isn't that like a no-no? Aren't they not supposed to be touching? Like, you're not supposed to be touching dead things, for it makes you unclean. And he knows that because he's keeping this secret yet again. Okay. So he scoops out this honey into his hands and ate it along the way. And he also gave it to his father and mother, and they ate it. But he didn't tell them he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion. As his father was making final arrangements for the marriage, Samson threw a party at Timnah, as was the custom for elite young men. Elite. Entitled is what it's giving. When the bride's parents saw him, they selected 30 young men from the town to be his companions. Samson said to them, "Let me tell you a riddle. If you solve my riddle during these 7 days of celebration, I will give you 30 fine linen robes and 30 sets of festival clothing. But if you can't solve it, then you must give me 30 fine linen robes and 30 sets of festival clothing." All right, they agreed. "Let's hear your riddle." So he said, "Out of the one who eats came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet." This is honey. He's talking about the honey, right? 3 days later, they were still trying to figure it out. On the 4th day, they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband to explain the riddle for us, or we will burn down your father's house with you in it. Did you invite us to this party just to make us poor?" So Samson's wife came to him in tears and said, "You don't love me. You hate me. You have given my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. I haven't even given the answer to my father or mother, he replied. Why should I tell you? So she cried whenever she was with him, and kept it up for the rest of the celebration. At last, on the seventh day, he told her the answer because she was tormenting him with her nagging. Then she explained the riddle to the young men. So before sunset on the seventh day, the men of the town came to Samson with their answer. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Samson replied, If you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle. Then the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He went down to the town of Ashkelon, killed 30 men, took their belongings, and gave their clothing to the men who had solved his riddle. But Samson was furious about what had happened, and he went back home to live with his father and mother. So his wife was given in marriage to the man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding. See? You see the flaw here? You see the flaw, right? He saw her, and it was good. And he was like, all right, this is good. I'm going to go out of my way and do all of this, right? But now he's out here getting honey from dead carcasses. You're not supposed to be touching. Involved with this woman who is tormenting him. Mind you, this goes on for 4 days. This 4 days of nagging, crying, and tormenting. This is the woman who's going to be your life partner. And instead of coming to you and be like, my father has been threatened. His life has been threatened by these men you've given this riddle to. Instead of coming to him with honesty, open communication, and willingness, she comes to him with deception and lies only to stab him in the back. And this was what was good in his sight. That's what I'm saying. The red flag. I need to be aware of that red flag. It was good in their eyes. The only person who can safely tell me it was good is the Lord. Like when the Lord says it, I'm like, oh, okay, so it was good. It was good. Nah, when the human says it, just brace yourself. Some disaster is coming. Some flaw is about to. It's coming. That's a red flag, and it's. All right, moving on. We're in Judges 15. Samson's vengeance on the Philistines. Later on, during the wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat as a present to his wife. He said, I am going into my wife's room to sleep with her, but her father wouldn't let him in. I truly thought you must hate her. Her father explained. What? Wait, after he gave her. What happened? Hold on, sorry. Hold on. So his wife was given in marriage. Sorry. But Samson was furious about what had happened, and he went back home to live with his father and mother. So this what they were already married. He was just furious about the whole riddle thing, and he left. So his wife was given in marriage to the man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding. Okay. But weren't they married before they celebrated? Later on, he returned to Timnah for the wedding. I made a final arrangement for the marriage. Oh no, this was just final arrangements for the marriage. What does that mean? Final arrangements for the marriage. Is this, like, are they married? Just compare. As his father was making final arrangements down, the custom was for the bridegroom to give a party. Bridegroom is his. So his father went down unto the woman. Samson made there a feast for us. Use the young. Nope, not gonna understand. Okay, so final arrangements are being made, but he gets angry and he leaves, and his wife, or would-be wife, is given to someone else. When he goes back to retrieve his wife, and he's ready to consummate the marriage with his wife. I truly thought you must hate her, her father explained, so I gave her in marriage to your best man. But look, her young sister is even more beautiful than she is. Marry her instead. Samson said, this time I cannot be blamed for everything I am going to do to you Philistines. Then he went out and caught 300 foxes. He tied their tails together in pairs, and he fastened a torch to the pair, he caught 300 foxes. Okay, now this all gathered together. And then he tied them together to make 150 tied foxes. And in that tie, he added torches. Then he lit the torches and let the foxes run through the grain field of the Philistines. He burned all the grain to the ground, including the sheaves and uncut grain. He also destroyed their vineyards and olive groves. Who did this? The Philistines demanded. Samson was the reply, because his father-in-law from Timnah gave Samson's wife to be married to his best man. So the Philistines went and got the woman and her father and burned them to death. Because you did this, Samson vowed, I won't rest until I take my revenge on you. So he attacked the Philistines with great fury and killed many of them. Then he went to live in a cave at the rock of Etham. The Philistines retaliated by setting up camp in Judah and spreading out near the town of Lehi. The men of Judah asked the Philistines, why are you attacking us? The Philistines replied, we've come to capture Samson. We've come to pay him back for what he did to us. So 3,000 men of Judah went down to get Samson at the cave in the rock of Etham. They said to Samson, don't you realize the Philistines rule over us? What are you doing to us? But Samson replied, I only did to them what they did to me. But the men of Judah told him, we have come to tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines. All right, Samson said, but promise that you won't kill me yourselves. We will only tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines, they replied. We won't kill you. So they tied him up with 2 new ropes and brought him up new ropes. You gotta wonder why these details are in here, right? So they tied him up with new ropes and brought him up from the rock. As Samson arrived in Lehi, the Philistines came shouting in triumph. But the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson, and he snapped the new ropes. It says ropes, but I'm adding that word, new. The new ropes on his arms as if they were burnt strands of flax, and they fell from his wrist. Then he found the jawbone of a recently killed donkey. He found the jawbone of a recently killed donkey. He picked it up and killed 1,000 Philistines with it. I'm not going to say nothing because the Spirit of the Lord came over him powerfully. And so when that happens, not anything is possible. But like to pick up a jawbone to not slaughter, but kill 1,000 men with it? 1,000 armed men, mind you, with the jawbone. Then Samson said, "With the jawbone of a donkey I have piled them in heaps. With the jawbone of a donkey I have killed 1,000 men." When he finished his boasting, he threw away the jawbone, and the place was called Jawbone Hill. Samson was now very thirsty, and he cried out to the Lord, "You have accomplished this great victory by the strength of your servant. Now I must die of thirst and fall into the hands of these pagans." So God caused the water to gush out from a hollow in the ground at Lehi, and Samson was revived. Yes, as he drank. Then he named the place the spring of the one who cried out. Did he name it all of that? In Hebrew, it's in Hakor. And it is still in Lehi to this day. Samson judged Israel for 20 years during the period when the Philistines dominated the land. Okay. Then what happens? I don't know yet, because we're in Psalms. Psalms 74. A psalm of Asaph. "O God, why have you rejected us so long? Why is your anger so intense against the sheep of your own pasture? Remember that we are the people who chose long ago, the tribe you redeemed as your own special possession. And remember Jerusalem, your home here on earth. Walk through the awful ruins of the city. See how the enemy has destroyed your sanctuary. There your enemies shouted their victorious battle cries. There they set up their battle standards. They swung their axes like woodcutters in a forest. With axes and picks, they smashed and carved paneling. They burned your sanctuary to the ground. They defiled the place that bears your name. Then they thought, let's destroy everything. So they burned down all the places where God was worshipped. We no longer see your miraculous signs. All the prophets are gone, and no one can tell us when it will end. How long, O God, will you allow our enemies to insult you? Will you let them dishonor your name forever? Why do you hold back your strong right hand? Unleash your powerful fist and destroy them. You, O God, are my king from ages past, bringing salvation to the earth. You split the sea by your strength and smashed the heads of the sea monsters. You crushed the heads of Leviathan and let the desert animals eat him. You caused the springs and streams to gush forth, and you dried up rivers that never run dry. Both day and night belong to you. You made the starlight and the sun. You set the boundaries of the earth, and you made both summer and winter. You see these enemies insult you, Lord. A foolish nation has dishonored your name. Don't let these wild beasts destroy your turtle doves. Don't let your suffering people Don't forget your suffering people forever. Remember your covenant promises, for the land is full of darkness and violence. Don't let the downtrodden be humiliated again. Instead, let the poor and needy praise your name. Arise, O God, and defeat your cause. Arise, O God, and defend your cause. Remember how these fools insult you all day long. Don't overlook what your enemies have said or their growing uproar. This is Asapha. I can't remember who that is, but we've run across them already. Asapha. The name of the three is the name of three men in the Bible. Okay, so these are all different people. Asapha is the name of three men in the Bible. Descendants of Kohat refers to the same person. Okay. So Asapha is just I guess we'll figure it out later. The style of Asapha is distinctive, forceful, and spiritual. He's referred to as a prophet and poet. He was one of David's three. I don't know. I lost it. I guess we'll find out. Because we haven't been near David anyway, so he'll show up again. Wow. Samson defeating 1,000 men with a jawbone, like, bruh, I just can't think of anything as impossible. You know, like, really walking into faith, walking into the strength of that, I just don't want to think of anything as impossible. Because if the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, then what can stop me? Like, like, I don't want that kind of pretentious kind of entitlement that Samson had. I want that entitlement of, like, I am royalty of my God. Like, cause God is, like, what? What you gonna do? How you gonna stop me? Honestly, if you think about the people that God has chosen as one of his sacred people, nothing stopped them. There were character flaws, of course, but nothing really got in the way of their victories. Now, my real question is, I won't even say. The only thing that really got in the way of their victories was themselves and their own character flaws more than anything else. So then, like, it just shakes up my list of priorities. If I put God first, right, on the priority list, put God first, and you try to invite him to every part of your life, and yes, I know you say it, and then it's actually doing it. There's the saying and there's the doing, and there is the nonsense in between. So then, like, let's say I put God first and then do all the things to put God first. The thing is, it's not about my environment anymore. It's not about the battle of my circumstances anymore. And it's not about, my, like, nothing. It's not about the people coming against me anymore. Then, the only thing I have to work on is my character. So I put God first. And then I look at my series of challenges, and the only ones I have to take seriously, the only ones I'm truly responsible for, is my own character. Yeah. So I want to take, what do I want to take? I want to take all of the energy that I store, all of the energy that gets shaken up by circumstances, by lack, by fears, by discouragement, by blessings, like, almost every element that is meant to, like, shake me up. And I want to use that energy to construct a character that will never fail God. I'm gonna say never fail because that's a high bar, and whatever. But thou won't grieve God. Yeah, I like this. I like this for me. New goal, and that's a life goal right there. That's a life goal. If I sign on to that goal, I sign on for life. Wow. Yeah, I want to construct a character that, no matter, will never grieve God. That's gonna be it. No matter what. And that's, it doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter what becomes of me if that's who I can become. Yes. I just, I'm already worried about the floodgates that's about to open. Ooh. Well, it has been said. It has been said, and my spirit resonated. So, Father God, yeah. Spirit. Okay. Alright. I will see y'all later. I gotta come to terms with some things that I just put up in my own spirit influence. Bye. This is gonna be fun.